and welcome to the News Roundup. I'm your host Bartek Krupa. So firstly, let's head over to Australia, where more than 500 Australians have called for emergency assistance after storms lashed Sydney and nearby areas, causing floods, power cuts and flight delays. On Wednesday, Sydney had its average monthly rainfall in just 2 hours. Australia's Bureau of Meteorology said it was the wettest day since 1984. According to sources in Sydney, at least 11 people had been rescued from vehicles trapped in floods, and one man unfortunately died in a car accident. Fire and Rescue NSW have tweeted telling everyone to take care and to not enter the floodwater. From everyone here in the studio, if you're in the Sydney area, we hope you stay safe and take care of yourselves. So, what if I told you that humans could be landing on Mars very soon? NASA has confirmed the InSight probe has successfully landed on Mars and has sent back its first pictures. The probe withstood temperatures of 1,500 degrees Celsius upon entering Mars' atmosphere. Anyway, in other news, Kellogg's have finally agreed to put traffic light labels on most of its cereal packets sold in the UK from January, having previously refused to do so. The traffic light system labels foods at green, amber or red to help consumers easily identify products that have low, medium or high levels of salt, fat and sugar. Overall, just under 80% of Kellogg's cereal packs sold in the UK and Ireland will carry the new label. Now, if you are a regular commuter and take the train, then you'll be angry to hear that the rail fares are to rise by 3.1% on January the 2nd. The rise, which was announced by the industry body, the Rail Delivery Group, follows a year of disruption on some lines. Rail Delivery Group Chief Executive Paul Plummer admitted that no one wanted to pay more to travel, especially those who experienced significant disruption earlier this year. 4 senior figures that are behind efforts to limit climate change deplore that the planet is at a crossroads as key talks open today in Poland. Experts say that drastic cuts in emissions will be needed if the world is to reach targets agreed in Paris. The IPCC stated that to keep to the 1.5 degrees Celsius, governments would have to slash emissions of greenhouse gases by 45% by 2030. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said climate change was already a matter of life or death for many countries. Real Madrid and Croatian midfielder Luka Modric has won the 2018 Ballon d'Or, becoming the first player other than Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo to claim the reward in more than a decade. Ronaldo, who joined Juventus from Real Madrid in the summer, came second. Barcelona forward Messi finished fifth, with Atletico Madrid frontman Antoine Griezmann and PSG attacker Kylian Mbappe, both of whom won the World Cup with France this year, finished third and fourth respectively. Staying with the Ballon d'Or ceremony, Martin Solveig has apologised after asking Lyon and Norway defender Anna Hegerberg if she knew how to twerk. She told the BBC she didn't consider it sexual harassment. Solveig was widely criticised on social media, including by two-time Wimbledon tennis champion Andy Murray, who said on Instagram, "Another example of the ridiculous sexism that still exists in sport." On Tuesday, Women in Sport said it was extremely disappointed at the comments made by Solveig. In a video message, she added, "I am a little bit amazed as to what I am reading on the internet. I, of course, didn't want to offend anyone." Now, tensions are building up in Eastern Europe as Ukrainian president says Ukraine is on the brink of war against Russia after the recent Kerch Strait incident. The whole situation was worsened significantly since the Ukrainian ships illegally crossed the Russian maritime border. Just recently, Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko has urged NATO to send ships to the Sea of Azov following a naval confrontation with Russia off Crimea. He told Germany's Bild newspaper he hoped the ships could be relocated to assist Ukraine and provide security. NATO has expressed full support for Ukraine, which is not a member of the state. The recent seizure of the 2 Ukrainian gunboats and a tug has brought security in the Black Sea to the forefront of NATO's agenda at their meeting in Brussels on Tuesday. For the Russians, the Black Sea has always been seen as a backyard, and the end of the Cold War and the breakup of the Soviet Union greatly complicated relationships. Russia is alarmed at what it sees as NATO's growing insertion into the region. 3 nearby states, Turkey, Romania and Bulgaria, are members of the alliance. NATO conducts air policing operations out of Romania, helping them to defend their territory by intercepting Russian jets approaching their airspace. Similarly, NATO warships have stepped up patrols in the Black Sea. Romania is hosting a US-built ballistic missile defense site. and NATO, along with individual alliance members, is developing military ties with its partner countries, Georgia and Ukraine. But NATO also has another problem. Warfare is always changing. Indeed, the once clear boundary between war and peace is dissolving. We hear a lot about military demonstrations, exercises, cyber attacks, and information operations. Traditionally, these have been seen as a prelude to the conflict. This then is NATO's dilemma. How does it reassure friends and allies in the Black Sea region without simply making matters worse? Anyway, in other news, Piers Morgan has clashed with a woman who believes veganism should become a religion, culminating in a bet the presenter will outlive her on the planet. Asked why veganism should be a religion, Liz said, "It's a deeply held belief. It's a passion. I believe in not making others suffer. I believe in the most vulnerable members of our society, which is farm animals, should be treated with respect." Now, Robbie Williams returned to his Take That route for the X Factor final. The Angel singer couldn't help but join his former bandmates on stage for one of their best hits, Everything Changes But You. Finally, a teenager has been pictured waving around machete in Huddersfield. Postman Andrew Green said it happened on Wellington Street in Huddersfield on Wednesday, November the 7th. He says drug-taking teens have been trying to intimidate him for months. West Yorkshire Police have now confirmed their investigation into the incident remains ongoing, and that no one has been charged. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll now pass you over to Owen Saunders for the sports news.
Okay, thank you, Bartek. On the 1st to the 4th, it was the Turkish Airlines Open. Hao Tong Lee and Justin Rose went to a playoff after their first 4 rounds. They were both 70 under after 72 holes, but the world number 2, Justin Rose, came out victorious and pipped Lee to take the trophy. On the 7th to the 10th, in the LPGA Tour, Mexican golfer Gaby Lopez won the Blue Bay LPGA event at 8 under par, despite finishing the 4th round at 1 over. She beat Aria Jutanguan by 1 stroke to take the £2.1 million purse. On the 8th to 11th, English golfer Lee Westwood beat fellow European Sergio Garcia in the Nedbank Challenge, and Westwood beat the Spaniard by 3 strokes to win his first tournament since 2014. Westwood failed to make the Ryder Cup squad this year, but he now moves to 64th in the world rankings.
Do it again under pressure and win against a couple of quality players at the end there. Sergio and Louis were my 2 nearest challengers, and hit shots like 8 coming down the stretch. It's nice to just prove it to yourself every now and again.
2 events took place on the weekend of the 15th to the 18th of November. Danny Willett won the DP World Tour Championship in Dubai to claim his first win since he won that green jacket in 2016. The former Masters winner won by 2 strokes to beat fellow Englishman Matthew Wallace. We now move on to the LPGA Tour, where Lexi Thompson won the CME Group Tour Championship at 18 under par. She now moves to 5th in the Rolex World Women's Ranking. We now take a look at athletics. On the 4th, the New York Marathon took place. The 42-kilometre course was the setting for the 48th New York City Marathon. Africa dominated the males race, where they took the first 5 places. However, the Ethiopian runner Lesila Desea won the race with a finishing time of 2 hours, 5 minutes and 59 seconds. He beat his fellow countryman Shura Kitata by only 2 seconds. Taking the bronze medal was Kenyan Jeffrey Kamworo. In the women's race, Kenya topped the first 2 places, with Mary Kiatani winning with a time of 2 hours, 22 minutes and 48 seconds. Vivian Sheriou took 2nd place, with the bronze medal place going to American female runner Shalane Flanagan. We now take a look at motorsport. On the 4th of November, the penultimate race of the MotoGP calendar took place in Sepang, Malaysia. Johan Zarco took pole position, with Valentino Rossi in 2nd. Andrea Iannone completed the first row, taking 3rd place. Moving on to the actual race now, 2 Spaniards took the first places, with reigning world champion Marc Marquez winning whilst riding his Honda. Alex Rins took 2nd place for his 4th podium finish of the season. He was riding the Suzuki bike, and French Yamaha rider Johan Zarco came in 3rd place to take his bronze medal. In the final race of the season at Chester Valencia, Pol Espargaro took 3rd place for KTM and got his first ever podium finish. Alex Rins took 2nd once again, but the race was won by Andrea Dovizioso. This meant that the 2018 MotoGP World Champion was once again Marc Marquez. He is now the 7 times World Champion. And there were, of course, 2 F1 Grand Prix this month. On the 11th, the Brazilian Grand Prix was held at the Interlagos circuit. The Finnish driver Valtteri Bottas came 3rd in qualifying, with Ferrari driver Sebastian Vettel claiming 2nd. However, it was, of course, British driver Lewis Hamilton who took pole position in his Mercedes. On the Sunday, Kimi Raikkonen came from 4th on the grid to come 3rd, and Red Bull's Netherlands driver Max Verstappen came 2nd after gaining 3 places from the grid. But it was Lewis Hamilton who dominated the weekend once again. The world champion came 1st yet again in Brazil. Okay, the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi was the setting for the final race of the season. It was a 1-2 qualifying for Mercedes, with Valtteri Bottas taking 2nd and Lewis Hamilton winning pole position. Ferrari driver Sebastian Vettel was 3rd on the grid. In the race, Max Verstappen came 6th on the grid to claim 3rd. Vettel moved up 1 place to take 2nd, and Lewis Hamilton proved his dominance and why he should be world champion, with yet another race win to finish off the season. This meant that the final standings for the world champions were as follows: Kimi Raikkonen from Ferrari in 3rd, Sebastian Vettel from Ferrari in 2nd, and Lewis Hamilton from Mercedes in 1st. In the Constructors' Championship, it was Aston Martin Red Bull who came 3rd, Scuderia Ferrari in 2nd, and it was Mercedes AMG Petronas who came 1st once again. In other motor racing news, it was the Kennards Hire Australian Rally Championships on the 15th to the 19th of this month. The 316km course saw Norwegian duo Mads Ostberg and Torstein Eriksson take 3rd, driving in the Citroën C3. In 2nd was the New Zealand driver Hayden Paddon and British navigator Sebastian Marshall. In the Hyundai i20, however, 1st place was taken by the Finnish duo of Jari-Matti Latvala and Mikaika Anttila in the Toyota Yaris. Okay, we're now going to move on to tennis. On the 5th to 11th of November, it was the Next Gen ATP Finals in Milan. In the final was the Greek Stefanos Tsitsipas and Australian Alex de Minaur. The tournament was won by the Greek 3-1, and he now moves to 15th in the world rankings. Also running over that time, there was the Women's Fed Cup final in Prague. The Czech Republic beat Germany in the semi-finals in April 4-1 to progress through to the final, and they faced the USA, who beat France 3-2. It was the Czech Republic who won 3-0 though in front of their home fans to claim their 11th title. The USA have only won it more times than them, with a record 18 titles. On the 12th to the 18th, it was the Nitto ATP Finals in London. It was world number 1 Novak Djokovic who was beaten by German Alexander Zverev, who is now 4th in the world rankings of tennis. Finally, the biggest tennis news of the year. The Davis Cup final took place between the 23rd and the 25th of November. The final was between France, who beat Spain in the semis, and Croatia, who beat the USA. It was Zeljko Krajan's Croatian team who beat Yannick Noah's French team 3-1 to claim their 2nd Davis Cup title. Finishing off tonight's show with football. Millions of people tuned in worldwide to watch the newly introduced Nations League. Okay, we're just going to focus on England for this one. And on the 15th, Wayne Rooney made his England return after 1 year of international retirement. The World Cup semi-finalist England faced the USA in an international friendly. The last time they faced each other was, of course, in that South African World Cup in 2010. The young England team dominated most of the game, and goals from Jesse Lingard and Trent Alexander-Arnold saw the 3 Lions go 2-0 up at half-time. In the 58th minute, the 33-year-old striker was brought on for Jesse Lingard. 19 minutes later, Bournemouth striker Callum Wilson made it 3-0 with a solid volley from inside the box. And it was nearly a golden day for Wayne Rooney with a late strike that was unfortunately saved by Brad Guzan, the USA goalkeeper. 3 days later, Gareth Southgate's side faced Croatia in the Nations League. It was all to play for as England tried to secure their place in the playoffs. Zlatko Dajic's side beat England in the summer to secure their place in the World Cup final. The first half finished goalless, but Croatia struck first in the 57th minute, and Andrej Kramaric flicked the ball over Jordan Pickford's head. However, England would not be tamed, and a 78th minute tap-in from Jesse Lingard made it 1-1. It remained neck and neck until the 85th minute, where England had a free kick deep into the opposition's half. Harry Kane managed to slide into the box and just get a touch on the ball to send England to the top of their group. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll now move to Luke for a more in-detail sports news.
Today we are at Jubilee Park, where Henley Hockey Club often play their matches and train here, as well as other sports. Recently, Henley played in a tough game against Marlow. However, they came out on top and won 5-3. Other sports are played on this pitch. We've got the AstroTurf and the normal grass pitch. For Henley to have so many sporting opportunities for all ages, it makes it a great place to live and be around. The Henley College, which currently has over 2,000 students, has development programs which are great for 16 to 19-year-olds who are extremely interested in their sport. The Sports Development Programme offers all students at the college an opportunity to develop their skills and fitness to a high level. Sports offered within the programme include rugby, football, basketball and netball. Henley College also provides an elite programme which is suited for students who are interested in having a career in sport. The Elite Sports Programme allows athletes to continue their education while receiving first-class coaching and training in their sport. The programme length varies between sports, but ranges between 6 and 24 months. An elite sports student typically trains for 9 to 10 hours per week, in addition to fixtures and their academic programme. Henley College currently provides opportunities through this scheme to students in 3 sports: rugby union, rowing and basketball. The college is further strengthened by proud partnerships such as Wasps, Leander Club, Henley Rowing Club and Reading Rockets.
Minutes of hard graft. What are you going to add? What are you going to put back into this shirt that's been missing this season? What are you going to put back into it? 1, 2, 3, freeze!
What does this club mean to you?
Everything. Everything. It's my heart.
Hello and welcome to the music segment of the show. Today we're going to be focusing on how is music changing? Is it improving or is it getting worse? Music has progressed significantly over the last 100 years. We went from jazz and ragtime in the roaring 20s, swing in the 30s, and then we progressed into something new, rock and roll, with the likes of Buddy Holly and Chuck Berry completely changing the genre. Rock and roll was the most popular and listened to genre throughout the 60s and 70s, with the likes of the Beatles, Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin blowing up. The 80s was arguably the most iconic era of music, with pop being popularised by many artists: Bon Jovi, Duran Duran, David Bowie, Eurythmics, Queen, George Michael and of course Michael Jackson. Hip-hop and rap was also introduced in the early 70s by DJ Kool Herc and was popularised throughout the 80s by artists such as Run DMC, and is still one of the most popular genres of music today, with artists putting their own twist on it. The 90s was a very important era for music, as this was of course the decade where Nirvana broke the scene before frontman Kurt Cobain tragically took his life in 1994. But there was a glimmer of hope when drummer Dave Grohl, after deciding to quit music, he chose to start a new project, which is today's focus, the Foo Fighters. Although there are many other famous rock bands out there, the one that stands out most today is the Foos, and this is because of their history and their success. Dave Grohl started the Foo Fighters as a solo artist in 1994, where he played all of the instruments on each track, and he labelled the record Foo Fighters, as he wanted people to believe that it was a band playing all of these songs. Soon enough, Grohl got more band members to join, such as bassist Nate Mendel from Sunny Day Real Estate, William Goldsmith on drums, and Pat Smear from The Germs, and also Nirvana. Band members came and left, Smear was replaced by Franz Stahl, and Goldsmith was eventually replaced by drummer Taylor Hawkins, who was playing for Alanis Morissette at the time, and by 1999 Franz Stahl was released from the band, leaving Grohl, Hawkins and Mendel as the original Foos. The three went on to record their record Nothing Left to Lose in their home studio, which went on to win 3 Grammys. The Foo Fighters have remained in massive success since they started. They are continuing the legacy of rock and roll, but too often they are overlooked by new and upcoming talent, and Dave Grohl believes that the next generation of musicians is being destroyed. So the question is music getting better or worse? Let's take a look at today's charts. At number 1, we have Thank You Next by Ariana Grande. Number 2, Sweet But Psycho, Ava Max.
Oh, she's sweet but a psycho, a little bit psycho.
Number 3, Without Me, Halsey.
Thinking you could live without me. Thinking you could live without me.
Number 4, The Power of Love, Dalton Harris featuring James Arthur.
The power of love, a force from above.
Number 5, it's Thursday by Jessica Lynn.
I won't wear makeup on Thursday. I'm sick of covering up.
Number 6, Woman Like Me, Little Mix featuring Nicki Minaj.
And now I wonder, could you fall for a woman like me?
Number 7, Rewrite the Stars, James Arthur and Anne-Marie.
What if we rewrite the stars? Say you were made to be mine.
Number 8, Kika, 6ix9ine featuring Tory Lanez.
I do my own stunts, Jackie Chan with it. I do my own stunts, Jackie Chan with it.
Number 9, Nothing Breaks Like a Heart, Mark Ronson featuring Miley Cyrus.
Things fall apart, but nothing breaks like a heart.
And number 10, Ruin My Life by Zara Larsson.
I want you to ruin my life, you to ruin my life, you to ruin my life.
These songs are all good for their own reason. They are modern and appeal to a wide range of people. Of course, there is no elements of music from the 20th century, but this answers the question. Music isn't necessarily improving or getting worse, but it is changing to suit the likes of the fans. Of course, I hope that the rock and roll legacy continues, but for now, we have today's music to enjoy. That's all from me today. Until next time.
I'm Carolina. Welcome to my corner. Today's point of discussion is feminism. But before we start, I would like to tell you a couple of things about feminism. So feminism, by definition, is the belief that both sexes are equal and should have equal opportunities. The feminist movement began in 1903 in Great Britain. The suffragettes were led by Emmeline Pankhurst, who fought for the women's rights to vote. At the beginning, they used techniques which were peaceful, but then they were largely ignored by the male authorities, so they resulted to things like fighting police officers or smashing windows or throwing bombs. The most famous suffragette was Emily Davidson, who in 1913 jumped in front of the King's horse at the King's Derby. She died that day, but she is seen as a hero to many feminists. It took 14 years and a world war for women to be given the same right to vote as men. So in 1928, women over the age of 21 could finally vote. But equality still wouldn't come for many years. 100 years after the suffragette movement started, lots of men and women around the world still fight for gender equality. But the question is that fighting pointless? And is feminism a pointless trend? My guests today are Annie, who's a fierce feminist, and Cameron, who is a Henley College student who's largely against feminism.
The social and like economic equality of both of the sexes.
What about you, Cameron?
I think the term feminism by most modern day feminists is not equal rights anymore, it's people taking it way out of proportion than it already is.
What do you define as a modern day feminist?
As an example, on the news recently, a feminist who was complaining about air conditioning being sexist, and for instance, and that's not equality, that is over the top.
So you're taking one thing about air conditioning and saying the word feminism is now extreme.
There's other examples as well.
Yeah, but everything has its own like extremities. You can't say that modern day feminists are extreme.
Well, most are.
What?
Not
Because
all.
the suffragettes weren't extreme because they literally had nothing, but we're extreme because now we've got a little bit and we're not allowed any more.
Well, the woman in the suffragettes killed a horse.
That is so pathetic. What relevance does that have?
Poor horse.
Poor horse. Do you eat meat?
Hmm?
Do you eat meat?
I do, yeah.
So your argument is completely irrelevant. Completely.
Well, you need meat.
You need meat.
Yeah.
Okay, this isn't about being vegetarian, but like, yeah, no. Just...
Okay, so Cameron, does the word feminist have any effect on you? Like, because you know that the word just means the equality of sexes, right?
Well, I'm all for equality, definitely, yeah, but some of the things that most feminists do now, or some of their arguments, can be.
But the word feminism is the definition of equality of both of the sexes. So if you believe in equality, you believe in feminism, because that is the definition.
Okay, so do you guys think that feminism is needed now, like at this moment in time, and if so, why?
Definitely. Because like, there's still things like a pay gap. Sorry, but what? What? Why are we getting paid less? Because I have a vagina. That makes absolutely no sense. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah, like how is that? No, like definitely not.
That's
and
my
like,
team member.
The whole Me Too movement, and like, oh, it's gone too far, it's gone too far. I'm sorry that as women we don't want to be fucking sexually assaulted. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know
like,
what
I'm
you
sorry
mean.
about that, but it's not too far. Like, nothing is too far. It's needed now in a different way than it was before, I think. But like, it's still definitely needed.
Yeah.
But just more socially than like other things like voting and stuff.
Yeah.
Because obviously we have like complete right to vote now and stuff.
Cameron, do you want to comment on that?
Well, one of the points there at the, what about men? Not all men sexually abuse people. Not all.
Say that.
Oh. Well, Carolina was saying earlier that she gets all men catcall and all men. You said all men. Most men abuse women.
And I didn't say abuse. I said some people, like I said men, because quite a lot do.
Women do as well, though.
Yeah, but
Women catcall.
That's like a minority.
Can you tell me how many women in your life you see
Not as many
catcall
as
and
men.
how many men? There
Not
we
as
go.
many, but it still happens.
Yeah, well, maybe it happens because somebody catcalled them.
Maybe.
Do you think men and women can ever be equal? Like, do you think we'll ever be at that stage where we're just equal without...
If men let go of their, like, such a need to be, like, a superior gender, because there literally is no such thing. But, like, yeah, I think it can happen. It just take a long time because they're stubborn people that, you know, believe that it's not, like, time.
Cameron?
Well, hopefully equality's a thing, yeah.
But do you think that the world we live in now is equal? Like, that...
No, not completely, yeah, with the wage gap, and that's definitely something that needs to be sorted out, but...
Is that the only problem that you think there is?
No, but there's fewer problems than there were before. So it's being sorted.
I mean, yeah.
But
it's
just
a long way to go,
slowly.
though. A long, long way.
Lately, for the past like 2 years, companies have been producing clothing and other materialistic things that promote feminism. What do you think of that? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's unnecessary?
I think it's a good thing as long as it's not like, because like most of the time, like it's unisex stuff, so that's like absolutely fine. Because no one would argue if they made unisex like materialistic things on like Black Lives Matter or like things like that, because like it's not like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if people make it, then men get offended because they're like, I saw someone in a feminist t-shirt, I'm offended because women want to be equal. Do you know what I mean?
Cameron?
Well, obviously you can wear what you want, but I think if I was in the street, I wouldn't be offended by it. But if I saw someone wearing a shirt that was feminist or with Black Lives Matter or anything, I just don't think you should be parading around with that on you.
What?
I don't know. I just feel like you can get the word out without wearing it.
But it's the same as wearing hypebeast clothing.
I don't wear hypebeast clothing.
Yeah, but it is the same.
Well,
It's exactly
hypebeast
the
clothing
same.
doesn't really get a point out trying to like save hypebeasts.
No, but it's like, oh, did you see that person? They have like the newest Supreme drop t-shirt. Wow. Or you could buy a t-shirt and be like, wow, I saw someone with a Black Lives Matter t-shirt earlier. Like, that's actually really important. Maybe we should like learn something, educate ourselves about that.
Well, the word gets out there. There's the news and everything to talk about it.
What's wrong with the t-shirt?
I don't know. You can wear what you want, but I wouldn't. If I saw it, again, wouldn't be offended by it. But I think it was a bit. I think it was interesting that someone would go around on.
Okay, so lastly, over the last 3 years, do you think that being a feminist has become a kind of trend in youth?
I don't think it's trendy, but I think it's actually the opposite, because like it comes with like negative connotations. Like people will be like, oh, she's a feminist, don't step on her toes.
Yeah.
No, just don't be a dick. You know what I mean?
Cameron?
Hmm.
So over the past few years, do you think it has become a trend to be a feminist?
A lot more people I definitely think have become feminists. I don't think it's a trend because it's not something that normally would be something you want to have to be part of. It's more of something you feel like you need to be part of. But yeah, definitely more. I feel like there is more feminists now than there was 3 years ago.
Okay, and why do you think some people are not feminists and are so against it?
I honestly think it's just because like they aren't smart enough, like they don't understand it. Do you know what I mean? Like they literally have not taken the time out of their day to actually like look into how big the problem is. They're just like, they just let it go over their head and they're a bit naive about it. So especially women that aren't feminists, I'm literally like, oh, I know some people don't like the label, which is pathetic, but women that say like, oh no, like there's no need for feminism, I'm like, you're actually stupid. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Cameron?
Sorry, what was the question?
So I asked, like, why do you think some people are so against feminism and aren't a feminist?
With women, it's probably because they're okay, well, not okay, but dealing with things the way things are at the moment. So they don't mind completely being paid slightly less and things like that. But with men not being feminists, I don't know, probably because, yeah, they get paid slightly more, so they're not too bothered with it being equal.
Yeah.
That's a bit close way to look at it though.
Do you think, like, when you're saying you're a feminist, people don't necessarily look at you in a positive way? They kind of look at you like, oh, she's a feminist, she's one of them.
Definitely. When I went to uni this year, literally every single boy I met that was like, oh god, she's a feminist, she's a feminazi, she's a rabid feminist. And I'd be like, yeah, because I just told you that girl is too drunk for you to buy her shots. I'm a rabid feminist. No, I'm just a nice person. That's not even being a feminist, do you know what I mean? And then, like, if I was actually saying something about, like, rights, Jesus Christ, they just try and shoot me down with all these stupid ideas, and I'd be like, you actually don't know anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, feminists definitely get frowned upon because of everything in the news. Yeah, so it's when people come forward and say they are a feminist, they definitely would get shot down a bit because of the way things are.
Okay, do you guys want to comment on anything else, or?
I think so, no. Just be a feminist if you're watching this.
But air conditioning isn't sexist. No, nothing.
So would you believe in, like, so you know the BBC released the wage gap stuff with Chris Evans, I think, getting the most in the BBC?
Yeah.
Do you think that's because he's a man, or?
Well, yeah, it is.
Really?
Yeah, because people in the BBC, there were men and women in exactly the same position. The women were paid less, the men were never paid less.
Were they exactly the same, or would the man maybe have
Exactly
a bit
the
more
same.
experience?
Exactly the same. No more experience at all. Because if they both are in the same position, it doesn't matter. If you get a job in Tesco but you've worked in Co-op before, you don't get paid more because you worked in Co-op before.
Well, I mean, like, experience on the one job. So if maybe someone's worked at one place for 4 years and someone new is just joining with the same experience, the same level, because you've been working at that shop,
But
you're
you're
more
in the same
reliable.
position, you get salary for a position.
But you get pay rises and stuff like that over the years, don't you?
Yeah, depending on how well you do, but not like £30,000.